Hey, I'm back. So if you guys have not been here before, this is EQ After Hours. This is not a part of class. We just sit and have a conversation at this point. I will answer questions. I'll let you know if I don't know the answer to questions. Yeah. Your childhood wounds rear their ugly head and you got to say something. Yeah. Class is 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Friday. No, Thursday. Not 7 p.m. I'm sorry. I made that up. 8 p.m. Thursday. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I drink red I'll drink both, but definitely dry. I know some of y'all was talking about Stella Rosa before, and I can't. It's a no. I don't drink sweet wine. But I do dry wines. I prefer Italian wines. So Chianti and Prosecco are my favorites. Tonight, this is actually from a vineyard in Georgia. I think it's a red blend. Qualusi Vineyards. I got this. Yeah, it's in Georgia. It's a red blend. So no, we do not have a Discord for this class. I am working on a membership community where you guys will be able to, have that opportunity to commune and all of that. But no, I do not have a Discord. I don't know what they are doing over in Hillman Talk University. They did ask me about creating a Discord for my class. I told them no, only because one, Discord drives me nuts. Like, it's too much. And I just was not comfortable with them having a EQ room and me not be in it. Like, things can go left really quickly. And I just wasn't comfortable with that. Yeah, that makes sense, TV. So that is actually what's called an emotional trigger for you. And it triggers your emotions that you felt as a kid. So, Hannah, you said you and your partner fight from your amygdala, meaning when you're consumed with your emotions. How do you make space? So we're going to spend a lot of time on communication and conflict resolution in a few weeks. But you got to. So I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is going to talk to their partner too soon. Oh, I have a guest request. I've never had one of those. What's going to happen if I press accept? I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. Yeah, true Discord. It's like, it's too difficult. Like, and then like all of the different, mm-mm. Oh, like Zoom. Oh, okay. So is she coming? I pressed accept. Your partner is horrible with communication. How do you help them better? So, it depends. It depends on why. They have issues communicating. So, right, there are 4 parts of communication: you communicating to your partner, them understanding, then them responding to you, and you understanding. So you have to understand at what point the communication breaks down and why. Right. So there's so many things that go into communication. And so why they have issues. So is it that they have a hard time expressing themselves? Are they just not familiar, like comfortable with it? Do they lack the emotion, the vocabulary? Did they not grow up communicating, so they don't know how to do it? Are they afraid of your reaction? I've actually had, like, I was dating this guy one time. He was like, what, 42? And I asked him how his day was, and he literally said I was the first person to ever ask him how his day was. What? Cora, Nora, no, I did not see your question. Let me scroll back up. So it just depends. Like, so there's a lot that goes into communication. And so there isn't one answer as to why somebody has trouble. I tell people to have conversations about their communication, right? Is there anything that I do to make you feel uncomfortable or like you can't talk to me about everything? Is there anything that you've been wanting to share with me? So like it's a whole lot. Nora, I'm not seeing your question. Can you ask me again? Is it in the chat? I mean, I don't see. I scrolled up pretty far. Nora, I'm not seeing. No, Nora, I don't see your question. Can you ask again? Do y'all have Valentine's Day planned? Y'all can keep asking questions, but I'm just. How do you deal with relatives that are controlling and manipulative? My first, I'm always going to have more questions. My first question is, do you have to deal with them? I would ask if you have to deal with them. That would be the first thing. The second part of dealing with controlling people. So I don't like this because I can't ask questions. I think in terms of manipulation, you have to understand who you are. So you do have to. So, are you able to give me like a topic of what they try to control so I can maybe have a better understanding? Nora, I see your question mark, but I don't see a question from you. I see, did you see my question? But I don't see your question. And then I see you sent a question mark. If you sent something other than that, I don't see it. How do you get your partner to understand your point of view in a disagreement? So one, again, don't talk too soon. If you or your partner are consumed with emotion, they're just going to double down on their emotions. So they're not trying to so you're with your brain. I showed you the guys the picture. You cannot be emotional and logical at the same time. Your brain does not allow it. And so if you are in the emotional space trying to logic with somebody, trying to get them to understand something, they're not going to. So you have to make sure that you have given each other space to feel whatever you're feeling, to process what you're feeling by yourself, and then have the conversation, right? I think the other thing is also how you talk to your partner, right? When you have conversations, the focus should be on your emotions, right? Not the action, on your emotion. And it's not possible for them to argue with how you feel, right? At least they shouldn't. They can't dismiss or validate how you're feeling, right? So if you go to your partner and say, "Hey, babe, I felt, I don't know, whatever emotion when you did this on this date. Moving forward, can you do this instead?" What's to argue about? Or what's to discredit? I'm telling you how I felt based on what you did, and this is what I need you to do differently. Absolutely, it's not what you say. So I was actually just talking to a friend about this because about the way that her boyfriend talks to her, and he's like, "You just want me to sugarcoat." Well, sometimes you need to, right? Effective communication is not about being blunt and just saying stuff straightforward. That's not effective communication. Effective communication is communicating in a way that your partner can understand, right? I have some friends that when they tell me something, I could say, "What was you thinking? Why the F would you do that?" That's how when my friends will talk to me, right? I have other friends that I cannot communicate. I can't do that, right? They'll shut down on me. Oh, so tell me, what were you hoping to accomplish with that? Right? So that's what effective communication is. Like you have to change how you're talking based on who it is. If you know that there's a certain word that triggers your partner, don't say the word. Don't fight below the belt. Yep. So what I recommended. So somebody else asked about this. So if you feel like you don't know if your relationship or your marriage is worth fighting for, if you guys are having issues and you just kind of don't know what to do. So, and maybe one of you are not as strong of a communicator, or have an issue with expressing how you are feeling. So one thing that I often recommend for my clients that are in that position is obviously come together and say, there are things that I'm sure both of us are unhappy about in this relationship, in this marriage. How about we sit down and each of us write a list about the things that we dislike in this relationship or marriage. Once you guys have your list, switch lists. And so you have the list that your partner wrote about things that they dislike in this relationship, and your partner has your list of things. And once you guys switch, you come up with a solution or a way to address their issue. That way, you're not asking them to do something that they feel like they cannot do. Right? So let's say you put on your list where we don't have enough intimacy, sexual intimacy. I don't know if I could say that word. Right? We don't have enough sex. Right? Let's say you wrote that on your list. Give it to your partner. It's your partner's job to come up with a solution to that. Right? Because then maybe they didn't realize that work has been taking up so much time, and then they could say, oh, dang, hopefully they didn't, maybe it's not intentional, right? They didn't realize it. And so what they can do is, oh, I've been so tired because I got to work all day and come home and be mom or dad, and clean the house. And by the time I get to bed, I don't feel like it. And so the solution that they may come up with is, well, if you help me put the kids to bed and straighten up the house at night, I'll have more energy for you. Right? And that way, you're not just coming with them and say, I need more. And they in the head like, I ain't got it to give to you. I'm tired. What's a great activity for married people to do over dinner? My card game. Y'all gonna make me open this. I gave my other one away. I think this is a good one. I'll open it for you and read you some of the questions. So I have a couples one and I have a dating version. But since you are specifically asking about married couples, I'll open the couples edition. So it's 50 questions in here. Of course, I don't expect you to go through all 50, but let me see some of my favorite. So it also depends on the mood that you're in, right? Is this I feel cutesy, I want to make sure my partner feels appreciated, like we're having a positive conversation? Because if you have positive conversation, you can have growth conversations, right? That's the point of these cards. Do you feel supported? In this season of your life, what do you need from me as your partner? What's one financial goal we can set together? When is the last time you felt loved by me, and what did I do? What's your favorite foreplay? That's more of a growth one. Are you satisfied sexually? What would make our relationship better or healthier? What's one thing you want me to work on? Maybe not that one over dinner in case they say something like serious. What's your dream job? Do you feel misunderstood? What's one goal you would like us to set together? How can I be a better partner to you? This is the perfect partner card game. This is my card game. Is it backwards for you guys? The perfect partner. So there's a couples version, then there's a dating version. If you had a paid month off from work, how would you spend your time? What's the best way for me to show you I love you? Especially like if you've been married for a long time, right? Things can change. You might be out of touch. It's good to reconnect every so often. What's your favorite memory of us? Name 3 things you love about me. I'm trying to pick out like the ones that'll be good over dinner. When's the last time I made you smile? What did I do? Name 3 gifts you would like from me. How can I be a better friend to you? How can I support you in reaching your goals? How can we be more intimate? The perfect partner card game. So I think I put them on a TikTok shop too. What do I do during sex that you like the most and the least? Oh, Bobby's saying congratulations. What happened? So they're not on Amazon. They're also on my website, erinfdarden.com. That website will be taken down soon, but for now they're still up there. But they're also on the TikTok shop. Name 3 date night ideas. How have I contributed to your life? 31 years married. Oh, that's so awesome. So this year, my parents will be celebrating 51 years. Congratulations for making it to 31. What is a goal you would like to accomplish for yourself over the next 2 years? So it's 50 questions. So 31 years of marriage, what would you say? What's your piece of advice for people that's watching and listening? If you have at least one piece, or what do you feel like helped y'all stay for 31 years? Or anybody, whoever else is in a healthy, successful relationship. What do you feel like is the thing that has kept y'all together? No, nobody has a tip. You celebrate each other. I think that's so important. 31 times 31 years too. Forgiveness and understanding we're both humans. I like that. I like that. Y'all have a love for music and that has kept y'all bonded. Okay, Jen. So what's your answer? Or if you're single, what do you feel like the hardest part is for dating or in your relationship? How do you move past the hard part? And at what pace? Anybody have an answer for her? You've been okay. It don't matter how long y'all there. Y'all push each other and encourage each other, like with your goals and what you have going on in life. Simone, having your own life, doing. I like that for sure. I don't want to be your only person. Communicating is so important. It is so important, which is why I really, really, really love what I do. So I actually used to only work with single women, but I have shifted that because right there are some limitations when it comes to emotional intelligence. Right, there is the communication piece, the conflict resolution piece, where yes, we can talk about it if you're single, but I found that people that are already in relationships, right, have a greater appreciation for it. Right, you know if you argued yesterday, right. And so that's why I really have been focusing on communication and conflict resolution. I also realized that people don't fight about the right stuff, right? They don't fight about the right things, or they don't realize that they have different communication styles or they have different conflict resolution styles. And I will tell you guys, I don't need, well, I know how I got here, but I was not always this person. I used to be so shy growing up. What? Stand up for myself? Who? Not me. Not me. Stand up, tell somebody that I don't like something. Oh, not me. So it took me a whole lot of time, a whole lot of work to get here. And then I went from not saying anything to saying everything that's on my mind. And now I'm from Philly and I'm a lawyer. And I'm just going to say what I got to say. And I don't care who say what they. And I had to learn that that wasn't the way either. So how did I overcome being shy and a people pleaser? I got sick and tired of waiting for people to treat me the way I should be treated. If I'm being honest, I got sick and tired of it, right? I think when you are quiet and you don't speak up for yourself, it's not that you don't want to, it's that you are hoping that people will do it for you, right? People will see me, like actually see you and be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do her wrong. I'm going to be. And what I had to learn is that people are very self-interested. They're going to do what's best for them. And while I'm out here bending over backwards doing stuff for people, and I also realized, like, once I started to get hurt when the energy wasn't returned to me, I also had to think about it, like, well, girl, you weren't doing any of those things because of what you might get back in return. And if I felt that I was doing it just because of what I definitely stopped doing those things, right? And so I had to start telling myself that, or I would ask myself, one, do you really want to do this? And if yes, are you okay with it not being reciprocated? And if I'm okay with not being reciprocated, if I'm okay if I don't get the same energy back, I will do it. I'll put this on the EQ after. So I put the EQ after hours in a separate playlist because they were like getting long. Yeah, waiting on. And so here's the thing about, since you mentioned matching energy. There, you see things on social media like, oh, I'm gonna match your energy. If you do this, I'm gonna do that. And I don't think that that is the right thing to do. I think that you should always do you. Don't change who you are. If you want to talk to somebody, call them. Right? Don't change who you are. Don't match anybody else's energy. Stop giving them that energy if they don't deserve it. Exactly. It doesn't allow you to be authentic. Still be you. Be true to who you are. Still be loving. Still be generous. Just be selective about who you give yourself to. All right? You can't change. Oh, they're not reaching out. I'm not going to reach out. Well, if you think about them, reach out. And if you're only doing it because you want them to reach out, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. Yeah, that whole I'm matching your energy. Nah, that's not cool. What do you feel like is rooted in you? You've been knowing it for 2 years, but you can't seem to change it. Did I miss something? Let me try to go back up. What are the wrong things to fight about? So when I say that people don't fight about the right things, it's because they aren't taking the time to process their emotions to know what the real issues are. Also, if you are fighting over somebody's action and behavior, that's also the wrong thing. The focus should be on how the actions made you feel, your emotions. That's the part. That's the issue. Because they could have very well meant the action. What they hopefully did not mean is how it affected you or how it made you feel. So when you talk about you did this or you did, that's not the right conversation. That derails the conversation. You hope I let my sugar mama status go? No, I'm gonna be a sugar mama forever. But no, I'm still gonna be a sugar mama for sure. I am for sure. I'm always gonna be a sugar mama. What I do is I change. I am mindful of who I give my. No, it's not who I give my sugar to. Who I'm sugar mommy and for. They also need to be a sugar daddy. So Ebony Music Jams, what does he do that makes you feel like you can't express yourself? Does he not validate your emotions? Does he not, like, what is it that he does that makes you feel like makes you uncomfortable or not comfortable to express yourself? Hey, Anna girl, welcome. Why can't I be a sugar mama? What's wrong with being a sugar mama? If he deserve it. I don't mind being a sugar mama. What's wrong with it? I mean, it's only gonna be if he deserve it. Okay, yeah, Sheila. So what I would ask is that, are you making sure that your husband is in a space to receive what you have to say? Right. So if somebody is sometimes, meaning sometimes they're willing to listen and sometimes they aren't. The first thing that comes to mind is, in those moments where they are not willing to listen, they may not be in the space to communicate, right? So me and my friends do this thing where if one of us has an issue, right, and we call, before we start dumping, we ask, do you have the capacity to listen right now? Like, do you have the space? And sometimes the answer is no. Like, I got a lot going on over here. I need a second. Right. And so I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. Again, I don't like this because I can't ask questions, but Sheila, I would ask, are you making sure that he's in a space to receive what you have to say? Like, hey, do you have the capacity to listen to me right now? The question is, does he deserve it? And I'm always going to make sure that he deserves it before I start sugar mommying. And I don't sugar mama off the back. Like, it ain't like first date I'm showing up with stuff. No. I'm not there. Like, I don't even go Dutch one dates. Like, that ain't, um, you know. I for sure gonna make sure he deserves it. Yeah. So Sheila, I would just, that would be my recommendation, at least for now. Like, the first recommendation is to, make sure he's in the right space first. Because if he listens sometimes and not others, he might just have a lot going on. So Ebony, you said he's nonchalant and doesn't communicate. Okay, so here's the thing. It can mean a couple of things. Because he's nonchalant and doesn't communicate, he just may not be comfortable with it, right? We had this conversation multiple times. He just may not be used to it. That does not mean that he's necessarily against having the conversation with you. So is it that you want to tell him how you feel about him and see if he feels the same way? What is it that is there something specific you're trying to communicate to him, Ebony, that you're hesitant to do? Are you like the girl in the gym that want to tell the guy how she feel? Or was she the girl in the gym did tell? Do I do one-on-one? So yes, I do work with people one-on-one. And so the way that it works is I sell 6 sessions at a time because one session is not going to do you any good. It takes time to unlearn things and relearn things. And so we do 6 sessions at once. Well, a package of 6. We typically meet every other week. So if you say you want to do Tuesdays, we'll do Tuesdays, whatever time you're available, and we'll meet every other week. What we will start off with is we will set your relationship goals. So we'll have the very first session where we take a deep dive and really go through what it is that you want to work on, right? What are your issues? Making sure that you are really getting to the root of the issue, right? Some people come and say, oh, I have communication issues. That doesn't tell me much, right? Which is why you guys keep asking me questions and I can't really give you an answer because there's so much that goes into communication. So during that first session is where we would really nail down what the issue is in communication, right? Is it that you aren't communicating in a way that your partner can understand? Your partner is not comfortable with communicating. Your partner doesn't know that they are invalidating your experiences. So like do you lack boundaries? right? Do you have unspoken expectations? All right, so that first session is where we would go and work through all of, whatever the issues are. We will outline some relationship goals. All of my clients take a more robust emotional intelligence assessment, like I actually pay for one. And what we will do is look at how your current level of emotional intelligence is showing up and affecting your relationship. Okay. And then what we would do is we will spend the 6 sessions. We can do it one of two ways: working through the relationship goals that we have identified in that first session, or if something happened, let's say you guys had an argument and you need to process what happened, or he's saying you're acting like my mother, or whatever it is, you can also use that time for that. So we will work through the relationship goals, or work through whatever issue comes up in the meantime. You do have access to me in between sessions. So if you need to send me a text or send me an email, we just had this argument, I'm about to cuss him out, I need to talk. We can do that as well. What else do I need to mention? So the sessions are via Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you're located. They're always via Zoom, so that you're, in the comfort of your own home. And so for me, I will tell you, so my 6 sessions it's $12.50 for 6 sessions right now. It might change, but as of right now, that is the cost of the 6 sessions. So $12.50. That could be a one-time payment or split up over 3 months, whatever works best for you. And again, I am not a therapist. I am a coach. The difference is therapy is backwards looking, so figuring out how you got here, what in your childhood led to this point, whereas coaching is forward looking. So we're here, we're having issues in our relationship, in our marriage. How do we move forward? How do we, what can we put in place? What tools, what communication plan can we put in place to improve our communication, to increase our intimacy, that type of thing. So that's how my one-on-ones work. So Trixie, you said, how do you get somebody out of a place of not being comfortable with talking? So the only thing that you can do is reassure them that this is a safe space, that you will not use what they say against you. Ask them if there's anything that you have done up until this point to make them feel like they can't talk to you. Because I think sometimes we can invalidate people's feelings without unintentionally. Right? Just like which friends to talk to about what, right? Because some of them may respond in a way that you don't want to hear it. Right? So same thing. So sometimes we may be doing things like, so the example I gave before was, I think it was last week we were talking. I was dating a guy. So with my friends, you got 2, maybe 3 times to complain about the same thing before we need to start talking about what we're going to do about it. Okay. And so I used to have a tendency of just always jumping in, like, well, what are we going to do about it? What you going to do? How about this? How about that? How about that? Until a guy I was dating, and he was like, why do you always do that? And I'm like, do what? He was like, I try to offer solutions. Well, in my brain, what are we talking about if we're not talking about solutions? And he was like, well, I don't always need a solution. Like I said, so what is it that you need from me? And he was like, just oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. And when I thought about it, because that is the way that he responds to me. Like if I was to go to him and I was stressed out about business or whatever, his response always was, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. But for me, I don't give a shit about no all. All ain't gonna make me feel better, right? But I had to learn that everybody is not the same way. And so now I don't jump in and offer, solutions and help people process and brainstorm. Not automatically. And it's so crazy is because then the guy I dated after him, I started asking, like, can I offer another solution, or can I offer a different perspective? And the guy after him was like, you don't have to ask. Like, I want your feedback. And I'd be like, I don't know, because I ain't telling him it was the last guy, but I said, people have said they don't appreciate it. So I always, can I offer another perspective? What is it that you need from me, right? You just need me to listen right now, or am I here to help you brainstorm and process what's going on? Right. So I ask. So, you got to ask them, is it something that I'm doing to make you feel like you can't talk to me? If they say no, right, it's just something they have to work on. I think the next thing I would do is make sure you explain to them how that makes them feel, how it makes you feel if they don't open up. I made a video about this last week, right? Them not talking to you or them shutting down is likely a protection, a coping mechanism for them, right? It's probably not about you, unless you did so. Unless they say you did something to make them feel like they can't talk to you. If it's not about you and it's just them, it's more than likely a coping mechanism, right? They're trying to keep themselves safe, right? It may not be you, but they may be projecting from maybe somebody in the past used it against them, or maybe nobody has ever asked them how their day was. So it's a coping mechanism. They're trying to keep themselves safe. But I always say two things can be true at once. So while they are trying to keep themselves safe, they are also hurting you. And I would communicate that. It makes me feel like you don't trust me. It makes me feel like you're not in this for the long haul, because why don't you open up to me? Right? And so once you do those things, if they're still not willing to open up, I don't know how much more you can do. And now I'm not saying that they're just going to open the floodgates and start, pouring their heart out. But hopefully they would start, opening up with different little things. Even if it's something little, they tell you something about that happened at work. Thank them. Thanks for sharing that with me. I appreciate you opening up and sharing that. I don't care if it's how little it is. My boss was getting on my nerves and then they was venting. Thanks for sharing that with me. Right? It gives them the reassurance that this is a safe space. So you want to express and let him know how you feel. He gives off those vibes of impulse. So, Ebony, do you have any indication that he may feel the same way about you? Right? Because that's the other thing that we have to be honest about. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to communicate. They don't want to communicate with you. All right. If you're in the DC area, one of my friends has a dating app where you don't sit and swipe, you work with a matchmaker. So I used to be one of her matchmakers. And so she was a guest on my podcast, and she was talking about like when people say like they don't want anything serious, and she was like, no, you got to add the silent with you. Like they don't want anything serious with you. Like the with you is silent, like the G in lasagna. Hilarious. So I would say, Ebony, make sure that, or try to figure out if they're, if he may receive it well, or is he just trying to avoid the conversation because he doesn't want to be, he might feel like he'll hurt your feelings. I don't know which one it is, but just, again, giving you different perspectives. You need that one-on-one. So if you send me a message, we could talk about that one-on-one, and how do we move forward with that. How do you balance your friendships and your relationship if your partner does not like your friends? Do you understand why your partner does not like your friends? Like, does your partner have, I don't want to say a valid reason, because if he has that feeling, like, is it I think you have to make that determination. And I think you just have to make time for both. Make time for both. You don't have to have them in the same room if that's not something that they are interested in. How do you move past someone who wore a mask for 18 years? And I'm assuming, Kashmir, that who they truly are doesn't work for you. And so here's the thing. Did they wear a mask, or did they grow and evolve into somebody else? Maybe not even grow. Did they just change into somebody else? Hopefully it's a growth thing. Because then at that point, I think it's the same thing. You have to decide if this works for you. People are allowed to change. I was talking to one of my friends, recently got divorced. Well, it might be about a year now. Her and her husband, we all went to college together. and they got married, they had a kid, and I think maybe that was like the end of 22 or end of 23 is when she told me that she wanted a divorce, because he's not meeting her needs, right? So my question was, did you give him a fair chance to meet your new needs, right? Because when you're when you've been with somebody since they was what? How old are you when you go to college? 18, 19? So you've been with somebody since you were 19. You're not the same person. You need different things. And so, yes, your needs are going to change. And so my question to her was, did you give him an opportunity to, meet those needs? And so at first she was, before she even told me about wanting a divorce, that she made her mind up, she was saying that she feels bad. And I said, well, you shouldn't feel bad because you are allowed to change. She done been to therapy. Once you go to therapy, like, you be like a whole new person. So she done been to therapy. And so she is realizing what she needs now. And she did not believe that he could give it to her. And I'm like, don't feel bad about it. You're allowed to grow. I don't care if you were okay with it yesterday and today you're not. You can do that. I don't care if I put up with it yesterday, today I'm not. Maybe tomorrow I might check with me then, but today I'm not. You say no, it's not a growth thing. I think then at that point you have to decide, Kashmir, is the new person okay? Like, are you okay with it? Right? And of course it's going to hurt, but I don't think you can beat yourself up about it. So remember, I've been talking about a me, them, or us problem, right? That sounds like a them problem, something that they were hiding from, right? And so if you had no way of knowing, you can't beat yourself up about that. This is a them thing. They did that. They wore a mask. They didn't let you know who they truly were. Right? And so now that they have shown you, it's up to you to decide, right? Again, you can't control the storm, but you can't control the wind, but you can control the sail. Right? Where do you go from here? Are you okay with it or not? And I know I'm saying that simply, but it's not that easy. Trust me, I get it. It's not, especially after 18 years, for sure. Right? But only you, I can't tell you what to do. You know the answer. I said this earlier. Most people know the answer. I had another consultation yesterday, and so she was running down everything. And so she was telling me the problem, but what she been doing about it. And so I had to tell her, I said, it sounds like you're doing the work. Everything that she would tell me the problem was, like, she lacked boundaries or expectations, but this is what I'm doing. And so I had to ask her, so what is it that you want me to help you with? And she was like, I don't know. I said, sounds like you're doing the right things. Right? So a lot of times people know the answer. You know the answer. You just don't want to face it. And so here's the thing, like, even if you don't want to face it, I say still be honest with yourself, right? I said this earlier today. Still be honest with yourself, because once you're honest and say, okay, this is not working for me, but I'm not ready to leave yet, a very real thing. Then you can ask yourself, why aren't you ready to leave yet? And what do you need to be ready? Right? Because if you're ever truly going to leave, those are the things that you need to answer. Because if you leave and you don't have a plan, if you leave and you don't know how you are going to fill the void or whatever it is that is attracted to that person, you're gonna spin a block. Good luck, Simone. Come back next week and let us know. Are you coming to our hangout tomorrow? So you can let us know how it is, how your meeting went. What if the person wearing a mask is a childhood friend? Again, you can try to help do that. Okay, bada bing, do they know they are wearing a mask? That's another thing. If somebody doesn't even know that they're wearing a mask, I think you can try to help them realize that they're wearing a mask. And so the way that I typically do that, or if I know somebody is lying to themselves, the way that I address it with them is they'll say whatever, whatever, whatever. And then my question is usually, what is it that you're looking to get out of this? Or does that decision align with what you want? because you said you want this, but now you want to do this. It doesn't sound like it aligns. Right? And a lot of times, so we have to try to stop telling people how to live their life. Like when we get to the, I can't wait for our lesson on empathy. That is like, sometimes let me sit up for this because this is a hard one. Sometimes with people, you gotta mind your business. Just sometimes. You gotta mind your business. Because what support looks like is supporting whatever their decision is until they learn their lesson. And it's hard. It is. But support and love looks like letting people make their own mistakes if they're not. Now, if you know they might listen to you, cool, for sure. But if you know this person's going to go screaming, kicking, and yelling, you know she shouldn't be with him. She know that too. She not ready to leave. And if she leaves before she learns her lesson, she's just going to end up in the same situation with a different person. And so, of course, I'm not saying don't have conversations, at all. But once you see that they are committed, I'll be here to, to talk when you hit your face. Like when I remember talking to my therapist, and he'll tell me something, and I'll be like, but I don't want to do that. He said, what you want to do? And I tell him what I want to do. He said, I'll be here when you need another session. I'm not here to tell you right from wrong. You know. I had somebody I've been asking them in the videos, like, what are your biggest issues, your biggest relationship struggles? More than one person inbox me that they're in an abusive relationship. What did I say next to them? What did I say to them next? Are you ready to leave? And one of them said no. Okay. So we need to talk about what happens for you to stay. What's keeping you there? Because if you're ever going to leave, that's the part that you have to answer. I'm not here. And I've had this conversation with multiple people, and they're like, well, why don't you don't give advice? I don't give anybody advice. Right? Because you have to go, even if I told you, leave, and let's say people don't listen, but let's say you did listen. You didn't learn your lesson. You didn't learn it. You want to do the same thing over and over again. So I am not going to be on live tomorrow. Tomorrow we are doing our Valentine's Day hangout. It's going to be on Zoom because I need y'all to talk back to me. I don't like this talking to myself thing. So tomorrow, 8 p.m. I guess I can go live while we're on Zoom if you guys aren't on the email list. But if you want to join us on Zoom and actually talk back to me, make sure you're on the email list. I will send the Zoom link out if you guys didn't get the calendar invite already. I guess I can also go live too at the same time, but I will have a Zoom available so that we can just hang out. Tomorrow is not a class. It's going to be more of this sitting down talking, but on Zoom so y'all can talk back. Okay, bada bing. I don't think they knew and they've grown, but their actions have still hurt me. So are you talking about things that they have done in the past that have hurt you, or things that they still do that hurt you? Yeah, heavy on mind your business. Like, you just gotta, because here's the other thing, like, people get offended when you tell them what to do. There is a link in my bio. Once you click on it, click open. The first link says EQ 101 email list. Make sure you're on that list. And make sure you bring your wine tomorrow, whatever you drink, email list. Make sure you're on that list. And make sure you bring your wine tomorrow, whatever you drink, even if it's water. And we're just going to hang out. Okay, then bada bing, my next question is, what is it so if you go and talk to them about this, what are you hoping is the result? Do you just want an apology? Do you need them to correct their behavior of you going to talk to them? I think that's another thing people do. They don't understand the purpose of the conversation. Like, what are we talking for? Like, what do you want the outcome to be? So like when my friends they'll text me like, oh, I'm about to say this to this person. Does this get across what I need? Like, I'm like the language police now, which is funny to me. And my first question is, what is it? What are you hoping to accomplish? You just want to vent? You just want to tell somebody off? Like, because sometimes just because it's true doesn't mean it needs to be said. And they should absolutely, you strongly dislike when your emotions aren't acknowledged. Well, depending on who it is, obviously if it's your person, if it's your partner, absolutely they should be acknowledging your emotions. I wouldn't be in a relationship where my emotions are not acknowledged. That's not healthy. You ain't got to understand them. You don't have to agree with them. An apology, an explanation, reassurance it won't happen again, and change. Do you know what that change would look like? Because I'll tell you how you can bring it up. It's the same sentence I give everybody to use. But so this will be my recommendation. Bada bing. I felt the emotion when you did this 5 years ago. Moving forward, instead, can you do this? It's the same sentence I give everybody. I felt the emotion when you did. You got to be specific. Moving forward, can you do this instead? I think that I've found that is the best way to keep the conversation on track. So there's so many things that could derail a conversation. Like I used to have a list of common communication mistakes. I've been packing up my house, y'all. I used to have a list. Let me see if I can find it on my computer. A list of common communication mistakes and what to do about it instead. I'll give y'all a preview. I was going to go over this once we get to the communication portion. I will go over this actually in class, but since y'all here after hours, let me see if I can find the list of common communication mistakes and how to fix them. But bada bing, does that make sense to keep the focus on your emotions? While I look for this list. Common communication mistakes. So y'all getting new stuff for staying late. Communication. Y'all wouldn't believe how much stuff I have created. I got 2 books on my computer that are not done. Well, one is done. One is not done. Daisy, you did miss today's lesson. We talked about identifying your emotions and primary emotions versus secondary emotions. We talked about the wheel of emotions. We talked about primary emotions versus feelings versus secondary emotions. About your feelings at the time. So yeah, so whatever you're saying they hurt you about, like whatever they caused, right? And so today we looked at the wheel of emotion. Can I turn this back around? Right, so you can Google like your wheel of emotion, right, and pick out exactly how their behavior made you feel. So you can go and talk to them and say, hey, I felt insignificant, excluded, whatever it is, when you did X on this date. Next time, can you do this? Okay. So let's see. 10 common communication mistakes. I'm just going to read them to you so y'all don't got to read. Let me get. You're welcome. Okay, so let's talk about some communication mistakes. And so this is why you should keep the conversation focused on your emotions and not the action. So one common communication mistake is they get defensive. All right, so a person gets defensive when a message triggers a sense of threat or reminds them of an insecurity or a harmful experience. Somebody else was just saying they have to get the last word because it brings up emotion from when they was a child, right? They get defensive. But when a person gets defensive, they stop listening and they try to defend their position or their behavior. This is why you don't want to start the conversation with the "you did," "you always do this." You don't want to focus on their actions, because the minute you say "you never helped me around the house," they're gonna say, "Yes, I did. I helped you last week." Now where do you go from here? Whereas the issue is that you feel overwhelmed by having to do majority of the work in the house. Okay, so getting defensive. So, or if you are the one that gets defensive, right? The solution is to work on accepting your partner's perspective, even if you don't agree, and apologize. Like, don't explain, just apologize. Oh, this is a big one. Another communication mistake, deflecting. Meaning what you do is they bring up one issue and you say, "Well, you did," and you bring up a different issue. And so here's the thing that the other person, the second person brings up is not that it's not a valid point. It's just that when you bring up, "Well, you did this and you did that," y'all never gonna get to the bottom of anything. Now you're gonna keep having the same conversations over and over again. Y'all gotta address one thing at a time. And a deflection is also like a defense thing. "Well, you did this." Like, "Well, yeah, I did, but how about you?" You're not going. You ain't gonna get nowhere. Okay, so if they bring up another issue, write it down. We can come back to that. It's not, again, it's not saying that it's invalid. "I feel overwhelmed." Well, I feel overwhelmed too. Well, you should have said something first, because now we got to talk about my overwhelmness first. A close second to that is not focusing on one issue at a time, right? This is the problem with deflecting. If you're going, you can't work through multiple issues at a time, one at a time. Another issue is being indirect, beating around the bush, not wanting to hurt somebody's feelings. No, say what you got to say. Say it respectfully. What you got to say. You can't be indirect. People don't know. Talk to people like they slow, because most people actually are. If y'all didn't know, I think the average reading comprehension level in America is like 7th or 8th grade, which means they comprehend at a 7th or 8th grade level. And so some people, I think, are being manipulative, but some people really have comprehension issues. So you have to be direct. You have to learn that your feelings and your emotions are valid and they deserve to be heard. So don't beat around the bush. You can't be afraid of their response. Your partner's reaction is not your responsibility. As long as you are saying it respectful, probably what you're saying is probably gonna hurt their feelings. So you can't prevent that. If you're not satisfied in the bedroom, you still gotta tell them. It might hurt his ego, but you still gotta tell him or her. Number 5, expecting your partner to be a mind reader. Nobody is a mind reader. I don't care how much you say this person should know. Now, unless it's like something blatant and you could tell that they're just trying to avoid the conversation and accountability. But absent that, they can't read your mind. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Another issue is trying to be right. This is not about right or wrong. You are right for how you feel. Your partner is right for how they feel. Where do we go from here? Okay? It's not about right or wrong. Somebody asked earlier, how do you get your partner to see your perspective? You can explain it to them, but they don't have to agree. You feel how you feel. I feel how I feel. Where do we go from here? It's not about right or wrong. You should start your sentences. Oh, another issue is when you start your sentences with you. You always, you didn't, you never. You is going to be accusatory and they are going to become defensive, which we already talked about is already an issue. So no yous. Instead, you want to focus on I. Right? You is focusing on the other person. I is focusing on how you feel. The focus should be on I feel. I felt like the emotion. Yes, understanding does not mean agreeing. Absolutely, TB. You don't have to understand. You don't have to agree. I need you to understand. I'm not comfortable communicating because last time I communicated with somebody, they used it against me. You may not agree with that, but you have to understand that. Number 8, speaking in absolutes or generalizations. You never help me clean up. You always got something to say. Right? And so here's the first thing. It's probably not true. Nobody always does anything. We don't even always do the things we're supposed to do. Okay? We don't always do nothing. And as soon as you say you always, they're gonna say no, I didn't. They're gonna point out that one time they didn't do it. It's just, again, not helpful. It's not gonna be an effective conversation. You want to make sure you're talking about specific instances instead of you never help me clean up. You didn't help me on Saturday. Okay. So 2 more common communication mistakes. Number 9, misinterpreting the message. If your partner's response does not correlate to your message, there is a chance they did not understand what you said or what you meant. These comprehension issues. And so when I am having, so many people inbox me and send me relationship stuff, and they want to. I actually don't debate. To be a lawyer, I hate it. I'm not having pointless conversation, but people send stuff to me, and so when I feel like it, I will engage, and so I'll say something, and their response, where did you get? That's not even what we're talking about. How did you get from A to G? What? And so when I am talking to somebody and I realize that, or their response is not appropriate for what I said, what did you hear me say? Because there's no way that's your response. Of course, I don't say this part, but there's no way that that's your response if you actually heard what I said. So what did you hear me say is my go-to. Because then when you say, what did you hear me say? If they didn't hear you correctly, right, that gives you an opportunity to clarify. A lot of times what happened is people tell you what they feel like you said, right? Meaning, and we talked about this week and last week, right? Emotions or feelings are different. Feelings is how you interpret an experience or something. And so what they might have heard you say was how they was their feeling of what you said, right? How they felt about what you said, their interpretation. But we know that is very specific, and that is based on their past experience and their thoughts. So the same guy that I was just telling y'all that he didn't like me to offer the solutions, I was having a conversation with him one time, and I told him that I felt like I couldn't talk to him, and I gave him very specific examples of why I felt like that. And me thinking I communicated clearly, I don't feel like I can talk to you because, and I gave examples. When I said this, you did this. When I said this, you did. In my mind, I'm as clear as I could be. The next morning, I wake, like, he's still up, and I'm like, he like, we got to keep talking. About what? And so he, um, about what you said. I said, about what I said. Like, what do you mean? And so he's trying, I can't even remember how he interpreted what I said. But then he said something like, it's like, if he don't see it the way I see it, then he's wrong. If I'm telling you how I feel, what other way is it to see it? Like, yo, and we really went back and forth. And if I am telling you how I feel, what other way is it to see it? At this point, this is when I knew he was a little bit slow. And we kept going back and forth. And so now I'm trying to run back the conversation for him and like explain where we got derailed. And then he had a nerve to tell me, I was like, I said this and I gave you examples and you came back and said this, which is not what I said at all. Child, yo, then he said nobody was writing down what we said. Like, we don't have a court reporter, so I don't know what I said. Excuse me, sir? We don't have a stenographer, so you don't remember what you just said? And at that very moment, I knew I was fighting a losing battle. We don't have a stenographer. And this is not like, and he was not like being manipulative or being funny. Like, I really think he got like a learning disability. And at that point, I can't do this with you. And I didn't. Oh, sorry, y'all. And I stopped talking to him. And he came back like maybe like years later, like, oh, I've been to therapy. Bottom line is he had issues. You swear that about a lot of people do. I'm telling you, a lot of people do. You'd be so surprised how many people cannot follow a simple thought. And it's difficult for me because my brain, like, so I don't know if I've ever told you, like, but I have ADHD, so my brain be doing like multiple things at once. And when somebody can't follow a simple ABCD, I'm already like on the next conversation. And like, so that same guy, he told me before, like, your brain just moved too fast. Like, I'm still thinking about the last thing you said. Mm. Yeah, and that's why I don't, Cynthia. I was just like, oh, okay. No, I kicked the I wasn't trying. I kicked my tripod. Sorry. Yes, like he said, we ain't have a stenographer, so he, me and my friends laugh about this to this day. We don't have a stenographer. We had the conversation last night, but yeah, okay. One more, I think, is one more on the list, which is why I don't have conversation. Who is this? I don't want to. I don't even know who this is. Somebody in India keep asking me to join there. Yeah, don't try and change my no. Mm-mm. And so because I know that people don't have the same level of comprehension that I have, like I come with examples. Like I gave him specific examples of why I felt like I could not talk to him. When I said this, you did this, it made me feel like you was invalidating what I had to say. On this date, when I said this, you did, like I come with examples. Like I know people be slow or are slow. So yeah, okay. And then number 10 of common mistakes, common communication mistakes, shutting down and refusing to talk. So sometimes we think the best way to maintain a relationship is to not say anything at all. A relationship where difficult conversations are avoided is not healthy. All right. And so if you feel like you are getting to that point where, you're getting ready to explode, just say, hey, look, I need a second. Time's out. Can we revisit this? But if you say we need to revisit this, make sure that you really come back and revisit it. Like, don't just use it as a cop out. And so if you guys, so shutting down is actually what they call, so just how everybody has a communication style, there is also this thing called negative communication style. And so there is this psychologist, Daniel Gottman. Is his name Daniel? Let me make sure I didn't make that up. And he has done so much research, and he says that he can tell how long your relationship and your marriage will last based on how you communicate. John Gottman, not Daniel. I made that up. Daniel Goldman, John Gottman. So he says he could tell how long your relationship will last based on your negative communication styles. So there is a test online that you can take to recognize your negative communication style. So it's like 4 of them: stonewalling, shutting. Hold on, I'll pull them up for y'all. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. So stonewalling is the shutting down. So there's a free assessment you could take online. So just Google negative communication styles, and it'll help you identify your negative communication style and how you can actually change it. Sheila, so that is common. So having different conflict resolution styles is common. So whereas one of you may get anxious and need to resolve conflict right away, the other person may need time to process, right? So I'm the one that needs to process. Don't come and talk to me right away, because I need to think about how I feel, what I need to say, what not to say, because that's also a thing. I need time, right? However, I do understand that some people say they need time to avoid the conversation. And so in that situation, I reckon you guys got to come up with a compromise, right? It's not cool to leave somebody hanging and you know that they have anxiety around stuff like that, right? There has to be some type of compromise. I was actually just listening to a video, I don't know if either today or yesterday, it might have been today. That podcast Black Men Therapy or something like that on Instagram, and I don't know who the guy was, but he was saying that with him and his wife, he is the one that gets anxious and he wants to resolve things right away, whereas she is more of the avoidant type, needs time to process whatever. And he said, like, in the beginning, she used to, like, whenever they have an argument, she would leave. And so the compromise that they came up with is that he will give her time, right? He won't make her sit down and talk about it right away. However, I think they set like a timeline, like she has this amount of time and she has to actually be processing and thinking about it. Like she can't just like think about other stuff and avoid it. Like she has to actually be thinking about it. She has, I don't remember how much time they set for each other. And then they have to come and talk, right? So when you have a different communication style or conflict resolution style like that, there should be a compromise. Me, I'm the person that needs time to process. Don't talk to me right away. Because what I realized and how I realized I needed time is that I had to keep coming back. Oh, I thought about something else. Now I got to bring it up again. I thought about something else. Now I'm sorry for keep bringing it up, right? Because I feel like once it's dead, it should be dead. But I realized that I'm not quick on my feet. Even to be a lawyer, to be in litigation, I have been in court. I've had trials. I've had like all of that. I'm not quick on my feet. My brain just don't do it. And so I realized that I need time to process. And so because I know that about me, I explain it to whomever I start dating. Look, if there's ever an issue, I need time. I promise I will come back to it. If it's me that has the issue, I will process it before I even say something to them. But you have to know who you are and who you're dealing with, and hopefully both of you are willing to make a compromise. Yeah, time to think. I think most people need time to think. Also, because right, those primary emotions don't linger. It's the secondary emotions that stick around, and so you need time to process all of that and ask yourself, like, is this a me, them, or us thing? Is this something that I need to work on, right? This insecurity that I'm projecting into this, a feeling that is based on my past experience, not my current partner, right? If I take the time to think about it, I will be able to say, oh, no, this person didn't do anything. I'm projecting from a previous relationship onto this person, right? And if you think about, oh, I'm not going to say nothing, right? I'm just going to work on it myself. Yeah, Sheila, have you said that to him explicitly? All the time. Yeah. I understand. I was working with a woman, same thing. She was the anxious one and needed things to be resolved, and her husband would, I believe that he was taking time to more so to be mean to her. And she's like, I've told you how this makes me feel, and you still do it. But yeah. What y'all doing tomorrow for Valentine's Day? I don't have Valentine's Day is actually one of my favorite holidays, y'all. I don't have I don't have a not that I know of, I don't have a Valentine. I like to make my Valentine's Day competitive. So I don't have a Valentine that I'm. You working all day? You going to dinner? Where you going to dinner? Did you get a gift too, Gleazy, or do you just going to dinner? You want to be by yourself? That you not? Is it on purpose that you're not celebrating? The gift is later on. I like it. Valentine's Day is actually. I like Valentine's Day. You hanging out with me? Period. You gonna take your daughter out? That's gonna be cute. Oh, she asked you to be her Valentine. That's so sweet. Single after 7 years. Okay. You want to be by yourself, but two guys, what? Love and Jan? Love Jan? I'm going out on Sunday, but I'm not counting it. How old is she? You working. Oh, you going to be with us? Perfect. We going to have fun. 14 days of V-Day. Oh, you good. 14 days. She's 11. Okay. That's a lot for, um, yeah, I don't know. Valentine. I like Valentine's Day. I used to, plan dates for this couple. I like stuff like that. It used to be fun. They wanted to do like date night once a month, but they didn't have time to plan it. So I used to plan their dates for them. You say Valentine's Day is too serious? Tell y'all about my Sunday date. You want me to tell you now or like after the date? To figure yourself out. I like that. Tell you now. So it's still new. Now and later too. So it's still new. I guess this is technically the first date. Oh, my niece loves to crochet. So yeah, it's still very new. We gotta see. I know y'all. We just started hanging out, but ask me again in 2 weeks because people only be around for 2 weeks and then they be going. So ask me again in 2 weeks. If he's still around in 2 weeks, he might be in there like swimwear, cause that's like my bad. Period. TB, what are you making? Are you making a blanket, a jacket, a? I'm gonna say Siri. What are you making? Mm-hmm. I used to have all types of Valentine's Day ideas. So another idea I had was to put like sticky notes all around, um, like things you appreciate about them, like all on like their side of the mirror on the real. You hear her? You hear Siri being real nosy? Um, one of the best Valentine's Day I ever had. Don't judge me, y'all. No, 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 no. I didn't say we locking in. I said, is he still around? They usually be gone by 2 weeks. I ain't saying nothing about locking in. Me, I'm not the person to commit quick. Not at all. I don't commit. It's just, is he still around? If he's still around at 2 weeks, that's a very good sign because people usually be gone within 2 weeks. That's what I meant. Yeah. It was supposed to be for her first birthday. She don't know when her birthday was. She's still gonna say thanks, God. She don't know. Yeah, we want to see what happens. So let me tell you about, I think, the best Valentine's idea I've ever had. Y'all can steal it if y'all want. So the guy I was dating in law school, like towards the end of law school and like a little bit after law school, he had made dinner reservations. And so I mean we did gifts too, but so we go to dinner, and when the waitress showed us to our table, I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I didn't even like sit down or anything. I think, yeah, I didn't even sit down. Didn't take my jacket off, anything. I went to the bathroom and I took my dress off and I zipped my coat up or buttoned it, whatever. And so where our table was, the bathroom was like behind him. So I came like back from the bathroom and I put like my dress like around his neck and I just sat down. And he was looking like, I don't think I ever saw him eat so fast to get out of there. I think that still might be at the top of my list of Valentine's Day ideas. And I'm like, why you eating so fast? Relax. Let's just enjoy dinner. He I think the waitress came back one time asking like, oh, is everything okay? He told us, can we had to check? I'm like, we ain't even, like, our food just got here. You know how we had the appetizer. I think we had edamame for appetizer. And then they had just brought our food. You know how they come back like real quick, like, oh, everything okay, like with your food? Can we had to check? Relax, sir. Like, relax. And he tied the dress around his neck like a scarf. I think that is still hands down my best Valentine's Day idea. I won't be doing that on Sunday though. It's too new for that. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm good at coming up with stuff like another idea. I've never done this for Valentine's Day, but I've done it like just because. Um, I get like little containers. You lost what you lost about. Yeah, this not. I can't do this on. I put the dress around. I gave him my dress, so I took my dress off and zipped my coat up and gave him my dress. So he realized like I did not have a dress on anymore. Another idea, if you guys need some more ideas. Yeah, he was chewing real fast. Like, you can slow down, you gonna choke. And I made him like I ate as slow as I could. Another idea that I like to do or I have done, I get like little like Tupperware containers like that you put like salad dressing in. My jacket. So as soon as we got to the table, I said I had to go sit there. So I didn't even take my jacket off. So I took my jacket with me to the bathroom when I took my dress off. So I put my coat back on. That coat zipped up. Like it was a long coat. It was like a pea coat, but it zipped. And then I came back and I ate dinner like that. You got it now? Okay. Yeah, no. This is way too new for him on Sunday. That person, we had been dating like for months at that point. Another idea. So like the little like containers, they got lids on it. And so I usually do like 3. You can do as many as you can think of, but each one has something different in it. So one is like, I usually do like honey, chocolate syrup, and a fruit roll up. If y'all get where I'm going with this. So honey, chocolate syrup, fruit roll up. And put them in a bag. Let him pick one. And then, the rest. Just be careful. If he picked the fruit roll up, don't put too much because it gets sticky. And if you can't get it off. Oh, sorry. You're going to be tired, girl. Because that has happened before. And also, other tip, if he picked the fruit roll up, don't put it too far. Keep it towards the head. Because if you put it too far, it get real hard to get it off. Girl, I'm fun. I just don't tell people I'm fun like this. I'm just talking to y'all because this is after hours. I might not put this part on YouTube. I don't let everybody know that this part of me. Yeah, everybody don't know this. Y'all wouldn't believe it that some people think I'm like real serious, like serious as a heart attack. And I'm like, I'm not. I actually play a lot. I just don't play with everybody. I've never done caramel. I think the only thing he's ever picked was fruit roll up, and then I've done it more than once. The fruit roll up that's the most fun, but that is that's difficult. I'm telling you, just don't put it all the way back. And don't put the whole fruit roll up. I'm telling you, do not put the whole fruit roll up because you're gonna be there. Yes, 2, maybe 3, and 2. When I say 2, you got to do it like in a spiral, so it's not on top of each other. Yeah, for sure, in a spiral, not on top of each other because I done made that mistake before. He had to go get in the shower. Don't judge me. I done all types of stuff. I done bought a pole, but that didn't end well. That didn't end well at all. Not take your dentures out. Yeah, let me know. I'm with all of it. Mm-hmm. The one I posted, that one actually wasn't for Valentine's Day, but um to like do like his favorite things. So his favorite drinks, um, cook and something nice. So he's sitting in the kitchen watching you cook. Give him a massage and all of that. What about what they do for you? So of the things I mentioned, the only one that was for Valentine's Day was the first one, the one that we were at dinner. And he also took me to see Valentine's Day. I think that's the one he took me to see Alvin Ailey because they go on. So I used to dance. So that when we went to dinner and he got me tickets to see Alvin Ailey. And I got him, I think, like this jacket that he was looking for. The other ones with the fruit roll up and all of that, I don't believe that was Valentine's Day. That was just because type of thing. Correct. The fruit roll up was not on me, it was on him. I'm just giving you things that you can do for Valentine's Day. I didn't always do these things for Valentine's Day. The sticky notes, I'm putting down, like, things you appreciate about them. Right. Yes. Just be careful how much you wrap. Oh yeah, I'm here I'm here for all of it. A swing is another good idea. So I haven't done this. My friend just did this for her boyfriend. His birthday was like a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, I'm still in it. So what she did was, I mean, she got him a gift or whatever too, but she put together like a black bag. So she got like a swing, and she put like a whole bunch of like stuff in the black bag, like handcuffs and treats and like I think she bought like maybe like one of those kits, and then she put extra stuff in it. And so whenever he wants, he can ask for like a black bag night. Spice it up a bit. I need to ask her how the swing went because she's pretty clumsy. I've never tried a swing. That's another idea. A black bag night. Not giggling. Not every night. So I think she put like a feather in there, a whip, handcuffs. I don't remember everything. Like, I feel like she showed me, but I can't remember everything. I feel like most of it came in a kit too. And I guess it works for her because they're not married. Like, they don't live together, and so I guess she has some control over when it happens. He is, I think me and him are the same age. So he is 37. She's 39. 39. Or be 39 next month. Yeah. Do y'all have any other questions or anything before I get out of here too? Yeah. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I am going to say good night as well. I'm not putting this. I put the first part of the after hours on YouTube. I'm not going to put the part we talk about my pop-pops, because they might see it, and I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I go Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Class is usually about an hour to an hour and a half. I got to see what we talk about next week. We might talk about emotional triggers, either emotional triggers or how to process your emotions, one of the two. But that'll be next week. The reflection question we posted on Tuesday. And I will see you guys next week. I'm glad you guys enjoyed tonight. Yes, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I go live. People have been asking me to do more, but yes, I do record them. If you join the email list, the link is in my bio. I will send the replay. You want to do personal triggers next week? Hey, Seki. Yeah, so I need to see what makes more sense. Personal triggers may be next. I have to look at the syllabus that I made for me. But yes, it's recorded, all of that, and I will see you guys next week or tomorrow.